Hi everybody, I'm Sarah and welcome to the Big Blue House Homestead. Today I started deciding to vlog since I have a lot of seeds that I still need to start. I'm on my final seed starting for the year, except for direct sown into the ground itself. And mainly what I'm doing today is squash, melons, some cucumbers, and a few different herbs. I do have some okra that I have to do because the ugly side of gardening is sometimes when you up pot your plants, they're not too happy and they just shrivel up and die. So I need to do some more okra. We live in a time where right now gardening is going to be what everyone needs to do. Everybody's going to have to learn how to regrow their food. It's a lost art that lots of people have pushed under the rug and said, my grandparents did that. And it's easy to just buy groceries at the grocery store. Well, right now it's not easy to buy groceries at the grocery store. So gardening is going to be a big thing. So I wanted to put my input out there to the world about how I do things just to help in case people need some information or need to ask questions or any of that. I think it's important that we all work together in unity. The whole Hands Across America from the 80s, let's go back to that and do it again. And let's all Hands Across America and garden together. So what I'm going to talk about right now is my seeds themselves. I am not a judgmental person at all when it comes to where you purchase your seeds from. I think any seed is basically a seed. Doesn't matter the name that goes on the packet. Whether you buy them from online places or catalogs like So True Seeds or My Gardener or Seed Savers Exchange, or whether you go to a big box store and buy Fairy Morse or Burpee, or maybe you're like me and you hit your dollar store at the end of the season and you get a 10-cent packet of squash seeds. And I have lots of 10-cent packets over here. Then again, I also have all the seeds that I saved myself. This was from a squash that I purchased at the store. Instead of throwing out the seeds, I saved them. I have lots of melon seeds that I saved. I also have still full heads of dill from seed that I grew last year. I have my own basil seeds that I saved and lots of okra seeds. And these are Perkins long pot okra. Gardening can get very expensive and a lot of people don't talk about that. They kind of just throw it around on YouTube like we have money and we do this and we grow our own food. But in reality, it gets very expensive. I'm on my third year gardening here. I've only lived here for 3 years. I started immediately. But this is my third year gardening and I have put over $650 into my garden itself. A lot of the wood that we use we can get free from places, or sometimes we can buy a cull pack, like the cheap throwaway packs at Lowe's, and get some stuff from that. We also repurpose and reuse things that we have here, but I don't purchase a lot of wood at all. Actually, I haven't. Any of the beds that I've used so far, I haven't purchased any of the wood. It's all free. I've bought a tiller. I've bought amendments for my soil. I've bought seed. I've bought tomato cages. I've bought tools to help weed, things of that nature. So when you're looking at spending on seeds, this packet says $1.59. This one says $2.95. This one does not have a price on it, so that doesn't help. $2.75. Some places even sell seeds for $4 and $5 a packet. If you grow that item and you let it go to seed, then you don't ever have to purchase that again. You're just saving yourself money. In fact, this is a honeydew melon. I purchased a pack of honeydews for 99 cents from My Gardener. And they were absolutely beautiful. Loved them. They were so good and yummy. And every time we ate one, I saved some seed. I probably have more seed than I could ever use right here. I don't have to purchase honeydews ever again. But that's what I mean, is I don't have to spend 99 cents again. I have free seed. So anyway, I filled my plug trays already with dirt. And I can go ahead and start putting stuff in there. But I want to show you some of the things that I do to ensure that I get a good sprout out of my seeds. Because a lot of this dirt is not great. Some of it's very dense with wood chips and things like that. I used dirt directly when I do these items, just my squashes, melons, things like that, because I don't need a seed starting medium. I can just take this and put it directly into my garden. I don't have to worry about up potting and all of that. So I just use straight dirt, and that way I'm adding dirt back to my nasty clay. Living in Zone 7B in South Carolina, I have nothing but straight red clay and anthills fire ant hills to be exact. Amending the soil is hard. So I did purchase some soil this year to add to it instead of just compost and mulch like I've been doing. And this year I'm going to have to amp it up a little bit more and work a little bit harder, but I'm going to get the garden done. And that's all that matters. I did want to point out something to you though. If you ever want to see somebody who really does garden, and instead of saying, oh yeah, I grow this, oh yeah, I grew that, messy tables show a lot. People refer to a lot of times when you go into somebody's home, you open their medicine cabinet to see what the person's like. Well, in fact, if you want to see what a gardener's like, just look at their table. Let me show you. All right, so there's all of my empty pots, and if you want to really see, I mean, you can see how many are stacked here. This is just from the last week of up potting, and I have all different sizes here. I also have a pot full of dirt. It's an old wash basin, a vintage wash basin, and a lot of other things that I need to continue with my seed starting. Okay, so I wanted to come over here and talk about these plug trays. I went ahead and filled them. I don't worry about filling them to where I can see the lines in between. I just worry about getting dirt into them. I am going to get messy. That's fine. But what I like to keep on hand is something like an old small tray, because the problem you're going to have with a lot of this is you can already see all these chunks on top. A seed's not going to grow through that. So as I'm looking at it, I'm pulling out all of these larger chunks because I don't want to have to restrict my seed from growing. Now, I don't need to get out all the really small ones. And since this is all going to go back in my garden, it's organic material that's going to break down and act like compost anyway. And I'll keep as much of that as I can. Not a big deal. But as I'm looking at it, it's not nearly as bad as it looks on camera, even though it is bad. I just need to keep getting all of these out. So I like to just go through and clean up. And I don't worry about the bottom. I just worry about the top because I don't want anything that's going to hinder the seed coming up. And that's what matters. The roots will work around it. Roots will always work around anything. I think that's what they're intended for. I think that's their whole purpose, is to push themselves through cracks and grow up through sidewalks, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to pick out some of this stuff. So I'm going to clean these up because, like I said, I have another tray underneath that I need to work on. I'm going to clean them up. You can use potting soil instead of this sort of just straight dirt if you want. Whatever you can get your hands on, do. I use a lot of soil rather than potting mixes just because of the expense that it is, and I use a lot of plug trays. I mean, I just showed you what I have, and I grow a lot of plants. I can show you actually my seed starts. You can kind of see them through the doorway over here, but I'll take you in there and we'll show you what I've got going. Okay, I don't have a grow room or an actual greenhouse outside that's large. I do have the smaller ones that are just, the standard tent size that you walk into. I have 2 of those, but I don't have the ability to grow all of my plants outdoors. So I grow them inside. Not a big deal. I just use shelves like this. I actually get these from a big box store when they throw them away. They're meant for bulbs. So I get them for free and they work great. I have used them for a few years now and I absolutely love them. Okay, so you can see that I have 2 large shelves here, and they actually pan all the way down to the floor. And that is all of my starts that I have so far. I have everything from onions to leeks to peppers to tomatoes to artichokes. I've got loofah gourds, birdhouse gourds, all sorts of things. I've got sweet potatoes down on the very bottom. Okay, so all I did was I took some sweet potatoes that I bought from the store, put them in one of these metal pans, added soil over the top, and I have growth. So that's simple things that you can do as well. I also have a couple beans. I get bored in the winter when I'm waiting for seed starting and gardening to start. So I like to create what I call my bean family. And that's just for me to watch something grow and progress. But I do have beans growing. I have quite a few all over the plant. Beans do not need pollinators, so you can grow beans inside. Okay, so that just shows you some of the stuff that I have growing in there. I do have a back porch with another one of those shelves, and it has a lot of my brassicas on it, all of my cold weather stuff. I want to just show you some of the things that I'm going to be planting today. I don't think I really need to go through the whole know-how, but I will, just to let people know. But I love Swiss chard, and I still can't get enough of it to grow, and I need to plant more, so I'm going to plant more. I've got some strawberry spinach. I grew it last year, and I really liked it, so I want to do more. I'm trying out 2 different types of basil this year. I usually grow just the Genovese basil, which is what I save my seeds from. But I got a packet labeled as sweet basil, and it really does look a little bit different, but it looks almost like the Genovese that I already grow, so I don't know what's going on there. But I'm going to try it. The dill is from seeds that I saved. Honeydews and silverline melons, which these are really good. They're crunchy like a pear. If you're actually looking at these in the store right now, I definitely grow them. They're small little fruits and they have a crunch to them like a pear, and they're really sweet, and we really like them. I have Tigger melons, which I grow a lot of Tigger melons, and we ate a lot of Tigger melons because there's my entire bag of Tigger melon seeds. But I also have banana melons. Oh, you can't even see it. Banana melon and Charleston gray watermelons, yellow canary melons, hearts of gold, which is a type of cantaloupe, and it's really good. It's probably my favorite so far out of any cantaloupe I've ever had. I have a lot of seeds from sugar baby watermelons, which are the smaller personal size. I also have my Moon and Star seeds from Moon and Star melons, but I have a ton of melons going. I don't think there's any more that I'm going to grow. I think that's kind of all the varieties that I do. I'm looking into doing Perkins Long Pod okra and some emerald okra and some Clemson spineless to try those. Looking at my cucumbers, I have some gherkin seeds that I saved from last year, so I'm going to grow those. I also have Bush Champion cucumbers, which I'm hoping are the long, thin, straight, almost like hothouse cucumbers, because I really like those. I have Bush Pickling, homemade pickles, Tasty Green, which is actually a burpless. And if you do not know the difference between a burpless and a regular cucumber, burpless don't make you burp and taste the cucumber afterwards. So if you're eating cucumbers and you like cucumbers and then you get that kind of and you can taste the cucumber again, burpless type, do not do that. And yeah, it is a hybrid. I'm not going to complain. It's a cucumber. But if you're looking to get rid of that, try burpless brands. I have the slicer cucumbers, and I also have these white wonders. I wanted to try something different. I ran out of cucamelon seeds. I usually grow those, but I grow a lot of them. And I had one that sprouted out of the little teeny tiny pitch that I had left in my bag. So I'm hoping that that will give me enough to start saving seeds from again this year. Otherwise, I will have to buy seeds for those. When I'm looking at my squash varieties, I have a delicata bush squash, and these are really good, very small sized, and they're nice to slice and stuff and roast, really good. I have the delicata. I'm going to do Table Queen acorn squash because I love those. I've got a squash here, it's called a 49er. It looks like a cross between a crookneck, just a yellow crookneck, and a zucchini, so I'm trying it. Waltham butternut. I've got your standard dark green zucchini that everybody grows. This is actually a yellow summer crookneck, but it's a little bumpier than your standard. So I also have a Dixie, which is a type of hybrid that's going to be smaller, which is good. I'm looking for smaller squash to do whole roasting with. I also have my Amish pie pumpkins, which I grow those a lot. I have a standard crookneck squash, and I only have a few seeds of, so I need to start saving again with those. I grew spaghetti squash, and these are the last of the seeds I have, so I'm going to grow some spaghetti squash. I've got my blue Hubbards, and that's about it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I have to start today. That's the last of everything. At some point, I'll go through and I'll tell you everything that I've grown, or every variety that I've grown, because I do a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and get to work and start getting all these seeds put in. I'll show you the first ones and what I do, and then I can go ahead and start making lunch for the kids because they're probably getting hungry. Okay, so whenever I do seeds in these plug trays, I like to keep something to hold the dirt in case I make a mess. And I usually don't pot directly in the actual trays themselves because I take out each little cell. I'm out of masking tape because I went through an entire roll already this season. So I'm down to blue painter's tape because I'm not going to go out just to buy masking tape. And I use a Sharpie and a good old popsicle stick. That's how easy it is to start seeds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick, we'll start with the blue Hubbard squash since they're larger, And so immediately I'm going to write onto my tape, Blue Hubbard. So what I've done is I've come up with this for myself. It makes it easier for me. And I just write on the piece of tape what it is that I'm going to grow. And I stick it on the side. So now everything that I put in here is going to be a Blue Hubbard squash only. And I know that. And then when they grow and I go to pull these little cells, because each one of these cells will end up with me in the garden, I will pull it out and look and go, oh, that's the Blue Hubbard. And I know where I'm going to put it. And I walk to that area, dig my spot, put my plant in. So I'm going to bring you down a little bit to show you how to put the seeds in, because there's a couple things that you need to know when it comes to growing a good seed. So I've got my seed tray set up. I've got my bag of Blue Hubbard squash. But what I do is I take my popsicle stick, and these are actually not 6 cells, they're 3 celled. So I'm going to plant 2 in each one, and I'll separate them when I get to the garden. But I'm just going to take and poke 2 small holes into the soil. It's kind of hard to see. And then I take my seed and I put pointy side down. It's going to sprout, and this seed section will pop out of the ground. So I'm going to put pointy seed down. And then what I do after that is I take my popsicle stick, especially with only squash seeds and large seeds like this. Smaller seeds I don't. But I'm just going to push it into the dirt and then kind of brush the rest over the top. You don't have a whole lot of space in these. It's only like maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches. And you need to get your seed in as far as possible because they will grow fast and pop up. And so that's as easy as that is just putting those into the dirt. All right, I use my garden notes at this point to reference how many I'm going to plant. And it says I only needed 3 plants for my Blue Hubbard. But like I said, I'm going to grow more. So I went ahead and doubled it to 6. And I'm not sure how many actual squashes I'll get from it. But I can share. That's the whole point, is I'm going to share. So I don't water these right away because I like to fill my whole tray. And then I water the entire tray at once. So I'll just take this now and put it into my large black plastic tray. Okay, when I go to water these, I don't soak it sopping wet. The reason being is because I want to be able to wet the seed only and have the soil moist. It will take a while to dry out until there's actually roots that are going to start pulling some of that nutrient water out. I don't bottom water. I never have done that. I just use a very small little watering can and sprinkle water across the top of all my plants. I'm not saying that's the best method, especially since sometimes I tend to overwater and then I lose plants. But I set my expectations higher for gardening. And so if I'm looking to grow 6 of these Hubbard squash seeds, if I planted 6 and I only get 5 plants, I'm good with that. I mean, I only wanted 3 to begin with, so it's not that much of a waste. And in reality, maybe one of my neighbors might knock on my door and ask if I have any plants to give them so they can grow in their garden, and I can hand them a Hubbard squash, and it'll be fun. So I'm going to get to work getting all of this done. I have 4 large trays here. One is all 3 cells, and the rest are all 6 cells, and that's quite a bit of stuff to get planted, so I need to go ahead and work on that. I'll get them all planted and watered and put in with my other plants, and I will show you progress as it comes along. Usually squash and melons will start to sprout within like 5 to 7 days, and then all of a sudden you have trays that are just nothing but overgrown green, and that's when you know you got to get into the garden. Now here in my zone, I don't plant outside with my peppers and tomatoes and things like that, squashes, all of that. I don't plant any of that until around April 15th, but I check the weather, because if in the week prior it's still going to be warm and it's not going to have a frost come through, I can go ahead and start planting some stuff then. And then I also look to see what happens the week after, because if all of a sudden the 15th says no frost and then we have a snowstorm, I want to be aware of that because I don't want to kill my plants right off. So Zone 7B, South Carolina, April 15th is when I start to put my stuff out in the ground, and I will actually plant for almost a month because I have so many seeds and so many starts. It takes about a month for me to get them in, but I'm the only one gardening. If I'm the only one gardening this year, that's fine, but I have my kids home because all the schools are closed all across the U.S. right now, and so maybe with their help I can get it done a little bit quicker. But I just want to say thank you guys for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Hopefully. Bye.